Fall is upon us and spooky season is here. It's the start of October, which means it's time for another entry in the 5 films you should watch this month series. As always, I'm recommending 5 different films of all different types of genres, qualities, notorieties, pretty much just films that I think you should watch for almost any reason. Of course, these might be films that you've heard of before or seen, or films that you've never seen or heard of before. It could be films that are generally considered to be good or bad or somewhere in between. Either way, I'm Josh from Just Mash. Let's figure it out. Criterion Spotlight, Videodrome. Every month I'm going to be highlighting a film released in the Criterion Collection. For those that don't know, the Criterion Collection is a distribution company that is dedicated to releasing the best films from around the world on Blu-ray, DVD, and 4K. They take the time to put together really great releases with in-depth special features and updated restoration scans of films. This month we've got Videodrome, released in 1983 by director David Cronenberg, starring James Woods and Debbie Harry of the band Blondie. Videodrome is one of the all-time best body horror films. It's David Cronenberg, who is the master of body horror, at the absolute top of his game. The performances are really great. Debbie Harry is especially enchanting in this film. The practical effects are some of the best all-time, with some really striking and iconic imagery. Videodrome is a wild ride that takes a bunch of unexpected turns that you could never see coming, but it also feels incredibly modern in its storytelling, its pacing, the way it's shot, and the practical effects. The film feels very real. The practical effects really are the best in the business and makes you feel like what you're watching is actually happening, and the commentary that's being made in the film is really great and holds true today. Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Bodies, Bodies, Bodies is a 2022 A24 horror film directed by Helena Rain, starring Amanda Stenberg, Maria Bakalova, Mayala, Rachel Sennett, Chase Sui Wonders, Pete Davidson, and Lee Pace. This film is a little bit looser with the tag horror. IMDb classifies it as teen horror, which I think is actually a pretty good way to describe it. It's very, very much a movie made for younger audiences, for the TikTok generation, but it's a film that is really entertaining, really funny, and the tension is built extremely well in the movie. It's written in a way where it feels modern and it feels like that's how these girls would talk, but it doesn't feel like it's written by someone imitating how these girls would talk. The script is one with a lot of character and a lot of attitude, and it really does feel like the actresses in the film are playing the characters that they are. A lot of the filmmaking technical elements in the film are really great too, as well as the use of neon colors and the way that they use glow sticks for lighting. I think the thing that really props this film up is the tension that's built throughout, but mainly the performances, especially by Rachel Sennett, who I think is really, really funny and just waiting to take Hollywood by storm, and the chemistry between Maria Bakalova and Amanda Stenberg, who are both awesome and have great chemistry together. I feel like this is a film that, if I were younger in high school, this would be the perfect movie to watch at a Halloween party with all your friends. The Shining. The Shining is a 1980 film directed by Stanley Kubrick, starring Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall, Danny Lloyd. Of course, you're probably thinking to yourself, Josh, everybody's seen The Shining, everyone knows what The Shining is, and you are absolutely correct. But that does not mean that it should not be rewatched every year during October. Really, there's 2 reasons that I'm recommending this film. One being that I do think it is the greatest horror movie of all time, and for my money, the scariest horror film of all time. I think Stanley Kubrick is probably the greatest film director of all time. Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall give really incredible performances, as does Danny Lloyd. The film has some of the most scary imagery in film history, with the twins throughout the hotel and a bunch of other stuff that I don't want to spoil. I think the ending in the hedge maze is one of the most perfect climaxes in movie history, and ultimately I think the Overlook Hotel is the greatest setting in film history. It's a movie that's always worth a rewatch. It's always one that you'll learn new things about every time you watch it. And the second reason that I recommend it is because it ties directly into the next film, Room 237. Room 237 is a 2012 documentary by director Rodney Asher that analyzes the film The Shining, the conspiracies surrounding the film and its director Stanley Kubrick, and what the legacy of the film means. It's a really engaging and entertaining documentary, especially if you're a fan of movies or a fan of Stanley Kubrick or a fan of The Shining. It's one that really analyzes all the different conspiracies surrounding the film. Some of them hold more water than others, some of them are kind of dumb, but they're all fun to kind of learn about and listen to. I think the documentary itself is crafted really masterfully, and it creates a lot of suspense and tension while also teasing you along the way with a lot of the concepts about Kubrick and his films. One of the more interesting theories in the film is that Stanley Kubrick was hired by the U.S. government to fake the moon landing and direct it, and The Shining is his personal confession of doing that. Throughout the film, there's different hints and subtleties that point to Kubrick doing that sort of thing, And whether you believe it or not is up to you, but it's a really fun film that presents these questions. It's not exactly a horror documentary per se, but because it is about The Shining and because it's about Kubrick and because it's about conspiracy, it brings on this kind of feeling of interest and also dread and kind of gives you a little bit creeped out while you're watching it. Ultimately, I think it's a perfect companion piece to The Shining, whether you watch it before or after doesn't necessarily matter, and one that ultimately enhances your experience viewing The Shining. Kikis Delivery Service. Kikis Delivery Service is a 1989 film directed by the legendary Hayao Miyazaki and under the Studio Ghibli banner. The U.S. dub of Kikis Delivery Service features the voice acting talents of Kirsten Dunst, Debbie Harry, Janine Garofalo, and Phil Hartman. The film is about Kiki, who is a 13-year-old girl made brand new witch who starts a delivery service atop of her flying broom in a seaside town in the fall. The film is a cozy coming-of-age story about Kiki and all of the troubles that follow her becoming a witch and starting her new job. And I ultimately think that it is a really cozy, warm, comforting film, one that is the best to watch around this time of year. Studio Ghibli is always known for making these kinds of films about kids that are really appealing and entertaining to every type of audience, and Kiki's is no exception. It's a really sweet story and one that I got to see in theaters a couple years ago as a part of Ghibli Fest. I think that the film is really great, and Phil Hartman gives a really endearing performance as Gigi the cat. If you've never seen a Studio Ghibli film, it is one of the best experiences that you'll ever have as a movie watcher, and Kiki's is the perfect entryway into Studio Ghibli. Well, those are the 5 films that I think you should watch this October. Obviously, watch 1, watch 2, watch all 5. It's up to you. Let us know in the comments below what you liked, disliked, leave a review. Let us know if you watched any of them. If you are a Letterboxd user, make a list of all the films in your reviews, tag it Just Mash or Just Mash Podcast. I've been Josh from Just Mash. Until next time.